Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. I received a special request from one of my subscribers from Kasia or Kasia, I hope I pronounced that correctly. She asked me to show my favorite foundations. So that's what this video is about. I really need to point something out here because, generally speaking, makeup all comes down to personal preference. But I think that applies even more to foundations. We all have different skin tones, we all have different skin types, we all have our own concerns. Maybe your skin is very dehydrated. Maybe you have dark spots, discoloration. Maybe you have acne prone skin or a very sensitive skin. Maybe you have fine lines, wrinkles, or some enlarged pores. We all have different skin types. We all have a different skin texture. So the best I can do with this video is to tell you a little bit more about my skin type, and tell you why these foundations, the one that I'm going to show you in a minute, work so well for me. But keep in mind that there's a chance that these foundations won't work for you at all. So I really wanted to point that out. This is a personal preference thing. I'm very happy to show you my favorites, of course, and I will tell you everything you need to know about these. But keep in mind that these foundations may not meet your expectations or your needs or your preferences. Without any further ado, let's get started. There's one more thing I want to tell you before I'm gonna get started. I do not test and try a lot of new foundations. I tend to stick to the ones that I really enjoy, the ones that work well on my skin. So there is really no need to try a lot of new foundations because I think I found my holy grails, or the ones that work well for me. So I test and try maybe 1 or 2 new foundations per year. Of course, I receive samples. Sometimes that's also a very good way to try out new formulas. But generally speaking, I just tend to stick to the ones that I really love. My friend Sylvia, she told me that I really needed to try the new Prada foundation, or it's not that new anymore. I think it came out last year, 2024. So I ordered that one. It's this one, and I just received it. So I haven't tested this one yet. I think it's this one. It's in this bottle. So I'm gonna test and try this Prada foundation, and of course I'm gonna share my thoughts with you about this one. But this one is of course not included in this video. So now let me tell you some more about my skin type and my skin concerns. I have combo oily skin. That means that my cheeks are usually a little bit drier. Most of the time they're pretty normal, but they can be a little bit drier, especially during winter. And then the T-zone, so the forehead, the nose, the chin, that's the area that gets really oily throughout the day. Furthermore, I have some fine lines, especially in the eye area and also here in the forehead. And I have some enlarged pores here on the cheeks. And I also have a little bit of rosacea, especially in this area here on the cheek and on this cheek as well. That area becomes a little bit red. It's not there all the time, but sometimes it's just there out of the sudden. I don't really know how that happens and how that works. So I have a little bit of rosacea, but it's not always that extreme. Sometimes my skin is really calm, and sometimes, you can see the rosacea a little bit more. So what I'm looking for in a foundation is a formula that knows how to balance my skin. A formula that is not too dry for my cheeks, but also not too greasy for that oily T-zone. So I prefer a water-based formula. That's the formula that works best for my combination oily skin. If you are not sure if your foundation is water-based, have a look at the ingredients list. If the first ingredient is water or aqua, you'll have a water-based foundation. If the first ingredient is something else, then you don't have a water-based foundation. The reason I prefer a water-based foundation is because it works best for my skin type. It doesn't clog the pores, and I find that very important. I want my skin to be able to breathe, so I want something lightweight, something airy, not too heavy, and that's why I prefer water-based foundations. So all the foundations I'm going to show you in a minute are all water-based foundations. The first one I'm going to show you is this one from Guerlain, the Terracotta Le Teint foundation. And the reason I love this foundation so much, this gives me the most flawless result. This is one of the best foundations I have ever tried. Now this one has a soft matte finish. There's also a glowy version from this foundation, but I just really don't want very glowy foundations because of that oily T-zone. That T-zone, it will get glowy during the day. So I definitely don't need more glow. I'm glowy enough, So I want something more soft matte. I like a soft matte finish, not too heavy, but no, this soft matte finish, that is what I like. That is what I prefer usually, because I also have one other foundation here that doesn't have that soft matte finish, but I'm going to talk about that in a minute. First, this one. This formula is just beautiful. You do not need a lot of product to get a good coverage, and the coverage is very buildable. So if you do not want some heavy application, then you just use a tiny bit from this foundation and apply it lightly with your fingertips, and you will just have a very light veil of product, and that's gonna look good. You can build it up, and you can build it up to a full coverage foundation if you want to. That's not something I prefer, but it's possible with this formula. Personally, I do not build it up very heavily. I build it up a little bit. I think that just looks best on me. I apply this one with a brush, but it also works very well with your fingertips and also a sponge. I just think that for me a brush works best with this formula. The main reason this has become a holy grail is because of the blurring effect. This again gives such a flawless result. My skin looks very fresh, it looks hydrated. It looks like my pores, my enlarged pores, are gone. I just do not see them anymore when I have applied this foundation. And that's the main reason I really, really love this formula. Furthermore, it's very hydrating. It doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't get cakey. It's long lasting. It lasts all day long. This foundation is made with 95% natural ingredients, There are 30 shades to choose from, so I think most of you will find a matching shade. Another favorite of mine is this foundation from Chantecaille, the Future Skin Gel Foundation. This is not a cheap foundation, but in my opinion, this is worth every penny. This formula is oil-free, there's no fragrance, no silicones, and this formula gives the most natural, fresh finish you can imagine. I love how this foundation looks on my skin, sits on my skin. I just feel like there's no foundation there. You hardly see this foundation on your skin, but in a good way. Because this foundation covers the redness, the discoloration. You know, it does everything a foundation needs to do, but the finish is so natural. It's almost unbelievable. The formula is so lightweight, so thin. This applies and blends effortlessly. This really is a skin-like foundation. When you apply one layer of product, you will get a very sheer coverage. When you apply 2 layers of product, you will get a medium coverage. It still looks like it's your own skin. This doesn't sit in fine lines. It doesn't sit in the pores. It looks very, very natural. It really looks like you're wearing nothing at all, no foundation at all. This looks like skin. In my opinion, this is really one of the best foundation formulas ever. Chantecaille announced that they are going to reformulate this foundation, or they already did, but the new reformulated foundation will be available anytime soon. And of course, I'm gonna pick up that reformulated foundation and compare it to this one. I hope the new one is even better, even though I think that this one is already very, very good and hard to improve. But of course, I'm curious about that new formula, so I'm gonna pick up one of the new foundations as soon as they are available, and of course I will compare them for you. I have one con with this foundation, because as you can see, it comes in this jar and it comes with a spatula as well. So you have to get a little bit out of the jar and then put it on your face. But I prefer a bottle with a pump. I find that way more convenient to use. It's more hygienic. So no, this is not really what I like, but this is also the only con about this foundation. This is an excellent formula. Again, it's very lightweight. You hardly see or feel that there's foundation on your skin, while in the meantime you get all the benefits of a foundation. So I highly, highly recommend it. I think this is worth every penny. There are 21 shades available, so that's not a lot. I hope that when Chantecaille releases those new reformulated foundations, they will also extend the shade range. Up next is the Sheer Glow Foundation by NARS. And you might be surprised that I've included this one, because I said in the beginning that I like a soft matte finish, a very natural finish. And this one, of course, has a glowy finish. But like, you know, the name says it all, it's a sheer glow formula. So this is not an extremely glowy foundation. Sheer glow. I think on my combo oily skin, it looks very natural. And of course, this has more of a glow compared to the previous 2 foundations from Chantecaille and Guerlain. But I think on my skin, it looks pretty good. This formula is also very comfortable to wear. It's hydrating, it feels smooth. You know, my skin doesn't feel dry, it doesn't get cakey, the foundation stays put all day long. And what I also really appreciate is the shade range. There are almost 40 shades to choose from, so I'm pretty sure that everyone will find a matching shade. I prefer to apply this formula with a sponge. This formula and the Beauty Blender just gives the most flawless result on my skin. The last one I'm going to show you is a matte foundation, a matte full coverage foundation. I used to wear this foundation a lot, but over the past few years I do not want that full coverage kind of heavy foundation anymore. Now the foundation I'm going to show you isn't that heavy, but of course compared to those other three very lightweight foundations, this one feels a little bit more heavy. But compared to other matte foundations, this one isn't heavy at all. And I am talking about the Givenchy Prisme Libre Skin Caring Matte Foundation. Now, like I said, this is a full coverage foundation, not a sheer skin-like foundation. No, this really does the job very well if you have discoloration, if you have rosacea, or other redness in the face you'd like to cover. This foundation is your girl. This foundation contains 97% natural origin ingredients and it has a luminous matte finish. So it's not matte, not like you're looking at some dead person. No, it has a luminous matte finish. And I've just told you I do not use this foundation as much anymore, but sometimes my skin really needs this foundation. Sometimes I have more redness in my face, hard to cover redness, and then I prefer this foundation over the other three foundations. So this definitely has a function in my foundation collection. I still reach for it, just not as often as I reach for the other foundations. And this Givenchy Skin Caring Matte is available in 35 shades. Givenchy recently came out with a glowy version of this one. I haven't tried that one, so I can't share my experiences about that one, but this one I highly recommend. Friends, these are my 4 favorite foundations. Maybe this new one from Prada is going to be a new favorite. I don't know yet because I have to test and try this one. Of course, I'm going to share my thoughts with you about this foundation. Please let me know, what are your favorite foundation? Is there a foundation that I definitely need to test, that I definitely need to try? Please let me know. Thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.